Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into what is, without a doubt, the fastest growing startup in history, OpenAI. Honestly, it's a story that sounds straight out of a Hollywood script, but it's 100% real, and it is completely reshaping the global economy as we speak. Today, we're going to unpack this wild, high-stakes business journey. We'll trace exactly how OpenAI transformed from this highly idealistic nonprofit lab into an absolute tech juggernaut. One that's driving the stock market, changing how companies generate revenue, and fundamentally altering how humans and machines interact.
Here is our roadmap for today to track these massive pivots in the AI boom. We're going to cover 1. The nonprofit dream, 2. The billion-dollar pivot, 3. The ChatGPT explosion, 4. The boardroom drama, and finally 5. The AI arms race. Let's get into it.
But look, before we get to the billions of dollars, we really need to anchor ourselves in history, because this whole thing actually started with one simple, profound question asked by the British mathematician Alan Turing in his influential 1950 paper, Can Machines Think? That single thought experiment laid the literal groundwork for the massive, multi-trillion-dollar industry we're watching unfold today.
Now, back in the 1960s, you had programs like MIT's ELIZA acting as the world's first chatbot. But AI was mostly viewed as just an abstract toy, right? It had no real commercial use. But then, the massive turning point arrived around 2012 with the boom in deep learning. Suddenly, giants like Amazon and Google were using machine learning for highly practical, revenue-generating tools. We're talking search algorithms, recommendation engines, and digital assistants like Alexa. AI was officially entering the real world, and it's right in the wake of that massive shift that our story really begins.
Part 1. The Nonprofit Dream.
So in 2015, OpenAI was founded by an absolute powerhouse union of tech figures. We're talking about Elon Musk, Sam Altman, who was the former president of the massive startup accelerator Y Combinator, and Greg Brockman, a former Stripe executive. Together, they attracted over $1 billion in pledged donations. But here's the real kicker. Their goal was strictly safe AI for the benefit of society. No ads, absolutely no shareholders to please. They were building a research lab purely for the public good.
And the crux of all this is their 2015 charter. They explicitly promised to be an open-source, nonprofit AI research company designed entirely around public benefit, rather than commercialization. They actually pledged to share their benchmarks and tools with the whole community. It was this utopian vision of technological development, completely isolated from the traditional pressures of the stock market and corporate profit.
And you know what? Their research yielded incredible results super quickly. By August 2017, they hit a shocking milestone. An OpenAI bot actually defeated Dendi, a top human professional player, in a one-on-one match of the highly complex video game Dota 2. Now, unlike chess, which has a limited number of moves, Dota 2 requires making millions of real-time decisions, adapting to new rules and predicting attacks every single second. Training an AI to do this proved OpenAI's massive technical potential to the world. But it also exposed an existential problem for the business. Training that gaming AI was unbelievably expensive, and the computational resources required were just staggering.
Which brings us to Part 2, the billion-dollar pivot. So, OpenAI suddenly realizes they are in a high-stakes AI arms race. To actually achieve their ultimate goals, they needed billions of dollars for computing power. Without it, they'd simply lose to tech giants like Google. Elon Musk suggested he just take full control of the company to fund it himself. But other leaders like Altman refused, believing that would completely ruin their original vision. So Musk leaves the board in 2018. Then, in March 2019, OpenAI makes a highly controversial move to solve their funding crisis. They created a capped profit limited partnership structure. It's a fascinating hybrid business model. It allowed them to raise capital like a regular company, but investor returns were strictly capped. Any profit beyond that fixed limit, it gets routed right back to the original nonprofit board to be used for the benefit of society. Now, this structure literally changed everything. First, it allowed them to secure massive capital. Almost immediately, this new for-profit arm lands a massive $1 billion investment from Microsoft. Second, they could now generate actual revenue. How? Well, they adopted a two-pronged business model. Consumers would eventually pay for premium subscriptions, and corporations would pay for API usage, meaning companies would pay OpenAI a fee every single time they used OpenAI's models for things like their own customer support systems. Armed with billions in fresh capital and a totally new revenue model, OpenAI was ready to push the boundaries of what was possible.
Part 3. The ChatGPT explosion.
Let's trace this rapid evolution. In 2018, they launched GPT-1 with 117 million parameters. Think of parameters as tiny settings in the AI's brain. The more you have,
the more capable it is of understanding grammar and reasoning. By 2019, they built GPT-2, but the results were so convincing that the team actually feared it could be misused to spread fake news. So, in a highly controversial move for an open company, they initially withheld the full version. Then came 2020, and with Microsoft's backing, they released GPT-3. This thing could write essays, compose songs, even write computer code. But the true defining moment? That arrived in November 2022, when they released a chatbot interface for their GPT 3.5 model. ChatGPT was born.
And the business scale was just immediate. Within a few days of launch, ChatGPT hit 1 million signups. To give you some context on how wildly this exceeded their expectations, an intern at OpenAI had actually placed a bet that only a few thousand people would use the tool. Instead, the entire world wanted in.
And the momentum absolutely did not stop there. Within just 1 month, ChatGPT hit 100 million active users. Let that sink in for a second. 100 million users in a single month. This made ChatGPT the fastest-growing consumer application in the history of the world. It wasn't just a tech demo anymore, it was a total global phenomenon. As you can imagine, the market impact was absolute devastation for competitors. Google literally went into panic mode and rushed out their own chatbot competitor named Bard. But unfortunately for Google, during Bard's public debut, the AI made a factual error about the James Webb Space Telescope. And the stock market's reaction? It was swift and it was brutal. That single hallucinated fact wiped $100 billion off Google's market capitalization in a flash. OpenAI had officially shaken the kings of Silicon Valley. But as we know, with astronomical growth and billions of dollars on the line, internal fractures were practically bound to happen.
Part 4. The Boardroom Drama.
So ideological clashes start escalating fast. We already know Musk left the board in 2018. But in November 2023, the tech world was absolutely stunned when the nonprofit board of OpenAI suddenly fired CEO Sam Altman, claiming he wasn't candid about AI safety and commercialization. The fallout was nuclear. 700 OpenAI employees threatened to resign immediately if Altman wasn't brought back. Microsoft, their key investor, stepped in, essentially offering to just hire Altman and the entire team. The pressure was too much. The board was forced to reverse its decision, rapidly rehiring Altman. Then, in February 2024, Elon Musk filed lawsuits against OpenAI and Altman, alleging they had completely abandoned their original charter to prioritize commercial profit for Microsoft.
But despite the bitter lawsuits, the public name-calling, Musk even dubbed him Scam Altman, and the profound ideological differences, the sheer financial gravity of OpenAI is undeniable. In fact, a highly surprising detail here is that in 2025, Elon Musk reportedly offered nearly $100 billion to buy the company outright. The asset is just that valuable. Which leads us directly into the current state of the industry.
Part 5. The AI Arms Race.
Right now, Google is pouring massive resources into Google DeepMind. Elon Musk is aggressively building xAI, heavily recruiting top talent, and there's also been a massive brain drain from OpenAI itself. Ilya Sutskever, a key former OpenAI leader, started his own lab, Safe Superintelligence. Former CTO Mira Murati started her own lab with billions in funding. Mark Zuckerberg at Meta is reportedly offering millions upon millions of dollars just to recruit top AI researchers. And it's not just the US, by the way. China's DeepSeek models have been released and are actively beating OpenAI and Google models on several benchmarks. The race for capital, compute power, and talent right now is absolutely cutthroat.
Which leaves us with this final, really profound question to think about. OpenAI started with a pure, nonprofit vision, right? To build safe AI for the benefit of humanity. Today, they are at the absolute center of a trillion-dollar corporate war, balancing a capped profit model, massive subscription revenues, and the sheer crushing weight of investor expectations. As models like GPT-5 and beyond continue to roll out, it ultimately depends on whether OpenAI can still follow its original mission amidst all this noise. Will society actually benefit from this cutthroat AI race, or has the pursuit of capital forever changed the trajectory of the technology? It is definitely something we'll all be watching closely. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.